If Jackie completely fills her 64-ounce water bottle before going to work and then drinks 48 ounces during her 8-hour shift, which fraction represents the portion of the water bottle that is filled at the end of the shift? So let's have you pause the video, try to figure this out, and then when you're ready, we'll go over how to do it. Okay, if you wanted to, hopefully you had a chance to try this question out. So the key here is to see that we're asking what portion is filled at the end of the shift. And if you just do the portion at the beginning of the shift, then you probably got to answer choice A. And if you did that, I hate to tell you this, but that's actually incorrect here. But good try if you did that. What we need to do is start by subtracting 64 and 48, right? Because before she went to work, she had 16 ounces, then she drinks. Okay, so basically what we have to see here is that before work, she had 64 ounces, then she drank 48 ounces. So we have to do 64 minus 48, and that's going to give us 16. All right, so at the end of her shift, she had 16 ounces of water left. Okay, and it says which fraction represents the portion of the water bottle filled at the end of the shift. So she fills her 64-ounce water bottle. So there are 64 ounces that would make up a full water bottle. So we have to set up the fraction 16 over 64. And now if we just simplify, you're free to use your calculator here. We divide the top number and the bottom number by 16. We will see that the answer is C, 1/4, or 1 over 4. So let me show you the written solution that I typed out here. You can pause the video and study this, and when you're ready, go on to the next question. What is the y-intercept of the line y equals negative 3x plus 8? Is it A, B, C, D, or is it E? So now would be a good time if you'd like to pause the video, give this question a try, and whether you get it right or wrong is not important. It's all about the knowledge right now. So let me give you a chance to try this out. Okay, hopefully you had a chance to try this if you wanted to. So basically, the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. Now, the y-axis is the axis on our graph here that goes up and down. And in contrast, the x-axis is the axis that goes left and right. So there's two ways to do this question, all right? Whenever you have a graph, it's pretty easy because we just have to look and see where the line crosses the y-axis, and we can see that it crosses at 8. But you could also do it, if you weren't given this graph, you could just use this equation, y equals negative 3x plus 8. All you would do is put a 0 in for x, and if you put 0 in for x here, negative 3 times 0 is just 0. You're left with the 8, so that would also tell you that y equals 8, the y-intercept equals 8. So two ways to do this, but D is the correct answer here. So I typed out a written solution for this. So let me show you this on the screen here. You can pause the video, take all the time you need, then we'll go on whenever you're ready. Which of the following is correct here? Is it A, B, C, D, or what about E? So now would be a good time as always to have you pause the video, try to figure this question out, and then when you're ready, we'll just go over how to do it, so don't worry if you get stuck. So for this question here is the written solution. I'm just going to show it right here because I think it's the best way to break this down here. You really would want to make sure you understand the difference between different place values here. D is the correct answer here, and this right here, this is your written solution. I made a typo here. This 2 here is in the ones place. I accidentally typed tens place here, so that's why I crossed that out. But just take some time if you have trouble with this to pause the video and just study this information right here. Just understand, the difference between the ones place, the tenths place, and so on and so forth here. Just make sure also that you know the difference between greater than and less than symbol. So if I have the letter A here and I draw this symbol right here, this means greater than. So this statement would be read, A is greater than B. And basically you just kind of look at this and picture that like this is a mouth and it's trying to eat the bigger letter here. If I went the opposite way, if I wrote this, I would read this as, my handwriting is pretty bad here, but I would read this as A is less than B, or you could say B is greater than A. So just make sure that you understand the differences between what these signs here are telling you too. That's part of this question too. What is the least common multiple of 7, 14, and 10? Is it A, B, C, D, or E? So now would be a good time to pause the video, try to figure this out, and then when you're ready, we'll go over how to do it. Okay, so basically, let me just put the written solution up on the screen here because I think it's easier just to show this right off the bat here. So for questions like this, these are just kind of a pain. They can just be kind of annoying, but it's hopefully not going to be that hard, at least once I show you how to do it here. So all I would do is I would just make a list here, 7, 14, and 10, and then you're just going to want to kind of run through your times tables here, and you can use your calculator because, for example, I don't know what 14 times tables are off the top of my head, but I know if I put 14 times 2 into my calculator, or let me start with 1. If I do 14 times 1, that gives me 14. 14 times 2 is 28. 14 times 3 is 42, and so on and so forth. And just list them all out, kind of like I've done down here, all right? Like, for example, multiples of 7. All I did here was I did 7 times 1, 7 times 2, 7 times 3, which gave me 21, 7 times 4, which is 28. And for each number here, 7, 14, and 10, you're just going to kind of keep listing out the multiples until you see where there's going to be a match. So I note here that, each list has 70 on it. And so 70 is going to be my LCM, my least common multiple. So hopefully this makes sense. Again, you're just going to list your times tables out for 7, 14, and 10 until you get a match, right? So you do 7 times 2, 7 times 3, 7 times 4, 7 times 5. Just keep going, and you do the same with 14. 14 times 2, 14 times 3. Keep going. Do the same with 10 until you get a match for all three things. So hopefully these are pretty straightforward. It's just kind of a pain. It's just a little bit tedious and time consuming, but that's really all you have to do. So this video's first champion shoutout goes to Arthur, who says, I lost confidence in myself once I dropped out of the 9th grade. That was 28 years ago. So first of all, sorry to hear that. And, confidence is really key with the GED test, and it could take a while. It could take a lot of practice to develop that. And I just want to wish Arthur the best. Part of this champion shoutouts is to honor people's successes, but also to hopefully motivate and inspire those who are struggling. So we're wishing Arthur the best, and note that we're all in this together here. And so then the second champion shoutout goes to somebody who just passed and is heading off to college. So I want to give a huge congratulations and just show that if you're watching this right now and you want to go to college after the GED test, hey, it's still possible. No matter how demoralized or no matter how much of a struggle you're in right now, know that work hard, keep going, keep watching these videos, and someday it's going to happen for you. A circle has a circumference of 234 meters. What is the closest approximation to the circle's area? Is it A, B, C, or D? So I've given you two formulas here. So you can read my handwriting. Area equals pi r squared, and circumference equals 2 pi r. So let's have you pause the video, give this one your best shot. This is kind of tricky, so don't worry if you don't get it right, and we'll go over how to do it. Okay, so the first move I want to make here is to realize that we are told that the circumference is 234. So I can take the formula for circumference, and I'm going to replace this C with 234. All right, so 234 equals 2 pi r. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out what is r equal to. All right, what does r equal? So what I can do is divide the right-hand side by 2 pi. All right, and if I divide by 2 pi, the 2 pi's will cancel out because I have 2 pi times r. The opposite of multiplication is division. These will cancel out and leave me with r. But whatever I do to one side, I also have to do to the other. So I have to divide by 2 pi over here as well. Okay, so using your calculator, and pi is just a number that's approximately 3.14. Okay, so I can do 234 and divide that by 2 times 3.14. And so I get about 37. I'm just going to leave my answer as 37 because we're just looking for an approximation here, okay? And depending on how you want to round this, you might get a little bit different of an answer here, but you should get something close to 37 at this point. All right, unless you might have just also just done 234 divided by 2, which is 117, and left this as 117 divided by pi equals r. I don't really care how you do it, but I'm just showing you this is what I think the easiest way to do the question is. So now that I know what r is, I figured out 37 equals r. So I'm going to take that 37 and come up here into my formula for area, and I'm going to replace the r with 37. So now I have area equals pi times 37 squared. Okay. So using your calculator here, 3.14 times 37 squared, I get about 4,298.66, which the closest approximation is A. All right, and so for this question here, I actually don't have a written solution. This was a question that I wrote many years ago back in 2016, and I wrote out a written solution then, but when I was teaching it and recording it for the first time, I realized that the way I worded it and I just thought it was a little bit confusing, so I switched up the wording. I switched this question up a little bit basically, and as a result, I don't have a written solution that matches the problem I just showed you here, so I do apologize about that. Now, I do have some general notes for circle questions on the GED that I typed out that I want to share with you. So basically, for that question like that, if you ever get a question with circles, know that there's really only three main things that you need to know about circles for the test. So you need to know what the diameter is and what the radius is. And so just quickly here, if I have a circle, and this looks kind of like an orange or something, but imagine this is a circle, all right? If I measure halfway across the circle, all right, that is called the radius, all right? Now, okay, really doesn't look like a circle, but okay, so let's say that this is a circle, all right? If I were to measure the entire way across the circle, that would be a measure of the diameter. So we can see that the radius is equal to half of the diameter, and the diameter is equal to twice the radius. So you need to know how to find the diameter when you're given the radius. You just cut the diameter in half. And you need to know how to find the radius if you're given the diameter, all right? So again, wait, did I just say that? What I'm trying to say here is if you have the diameter, you divide it by 2, that gives you the radius. You've got the radius, you multiply it by 2, that gives you the diameter, all right? It's kind of a tongue twister. So you need to know that. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 here is you need to know the formula for the area of a circle and how to apply it, which we just went over. That formula is area equals pi r squared. And then you need to know the formula for the circumference, like I just showed you. That is circumference equals 2 pi r. And so these are the three main things that you really need to know about circles. And from these, you might get a question where you're given the circumference and you have to find the area, or vice versa. But really, if you have circle questions and you're not sure where to start, just think about these three things. Think about, do I need to find the radius or the diameter? Do I need to find the area? Do I need to find the circumference? And just kind of look at what you're given and just think about it. So if you're clear on these three things and you know how to solve questions like the one I just showed you here, all right, then you should be good for circle questions on the GED test, or at least for the majority of them. So this next question right here, I'm going to make the Champions Challenge question of the test. And so if you're new here, first of all, welcome to my channel. If you haven't watched this series before, every video in the series, for at least the last couple videos, I've picked what, in my opinion, is the hardest question of the test. And that last one I thought was pretty tough, so I debated making that the Champions Challenge question, but I think I'm going to go with this one. I think this one's a little harder, just my opinion. You can let me know in the comments down below if you want to, which question in the quiz you thought was the hardest. But basically, this one says if there were 14 more seniors than juniors on a football team, and the ratio of seniors to juniors is 3-to-1, how many juniors are on the team? So like I said, this one's a challenge. So let's have you pause the video, try to figure this one out. And then if you get it right, great. If not, then we're just here to learn from it. Don't worry about it. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to see here is that we can write this equation, 14 more seniors than juniors. So basically, the seniors, the number of seniors on the team is going to be equal to the juniors plus 14, because there's 14 more seniors than juniors on the team. So if you take the number of juniors and add 14, you'll get the number of seniors. So that's the first thing that I want you to see here, okay? Now, the second thing here is that the ratio of juniors to seniors is 3-to-1. In other words, the ratio of seniors to juniors, we can write that as a fraction. Seniors over juniors equals 3/1. Okay, so you'd have to first figure this part out, all right? So The next step then would be to take the fact that s equals j plus 14, and to take that and to plug that in here in place of s. So let me show you what that would look like. I'll rewrite it down here. So I'd have j plus 14, and this is supposed to be 4, divided by j equals 3 over 1. Or really, you could just write 3 because 3 divided by 1 is just 3. Okay, so again, all I did, the ratio of seniors to juniors is 3 over 1, and I know that the seniors are equal to the number of juniors plus 14. So I took this s and I replaced the s in my ratio with j plus 14 over j. All right, so if you have trouble following that, please just rewind the video, take your time, and once you understand how I got this step, then we'll go forward here. So basically, from this point here, what I want to do is I want to figure out what j equals. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to multiply both sides of my equation by j. So if I multiply it by j over here, okay, these j's are going to cancel out. And whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other. So rewriting it, I'm going to have j plus 14 equals 3j. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this j, and since it's j plus 14, I want to subtract. All right, so what is 1j minus 1j? Well, they cancel out, giving us 0 plus 14, which is just 14. But whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I'm going to have to subtract by j on this side. And if I do that, I'm going to get 14 equals 2j. I almost wrote a t. Should be j. So this 2j is 2 times j. If I want to get the j by itself, I'm going to have to divide by 2. All right, so 2 times j. All right, I'm going to do the opposite of times, which is division. The 2's will cancel out, leaving me with j alone on the right-hand side, which is what I want. But whatever I do to one side, I also have to do it to the other side as well. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. I'm left with 7 equals j, and A is the correct answer here. So let me show you the written solution. You can pause the video, take all the time you need, and then when you're ready, we'll go on to the next question. So the next question is 4 over 5 times 2 over 3. Is it A, 20 over 23, B, 16 over 15, C, 8 over 15, or D, 1 over 2, or E, is it none of the above? So you know the drill by now. If you made it this far into the video, it's time you pause the video, give this one a shot, and when you're ready, we'll go over how to do it. Okay, so the main thing that I want you to know about multiplying fractions is that all you do is you just multiply the top numbers and multiply the bottom numbers, okay? Where people get into trouble is they'll try to cross multiply. They'll think, well, I'll do 5 times 2 or 4 times 3. Don't try to do that. You're just going to confuse yourself and you're going to get the wrong answer, okay? So cross multiplying is when you have a situation like this, when you have 4 over 5 equals 2 over 3. So if we have this equal sign in between the two fractions, that's when you're going to want to do 5 times 2 and you're going to want to do 3 times 4 in a case like that. Okay, but not when you just have 4 over 5 times 2 over 3. You don't want to try to cross multiply here. So simply all you do is you do 4 times 2, which is 8, and then you do 5 times 3, which is 15, giving you answer choice C. So let me pause the video right now, or I'm sorry, if you want to, you can pause the video and study the solution, and when you're ready, we'll go on to the next question. Okay, so the next question says, a circle has an area of 72 meters squared. Determine the closest approximation in meters for both the radius and the diameter of the circle. So the formula for area of a circle, again, it's area equals pi r squared. And this one was another candidate for the Champions Challenge question. This one's also kind of tough here. So let's see how you do with this question here. So hopefully you had a chance to pause the video and try the question if you wanted to. But let's go over how to do this. So this is similar in many ways to the question we just had, or a few questions ago when we had that other circles question. It's a little bit different. But we want to start with the fact that we're given the area of a circle. We're told that it's 72. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to replace the a in the formula with 72. And then I'll just have 72 equals pi r squared. Okay. And I want to figure out what the r is equal to, right? So basically, what I can do here is divide by pi on both sides of my equation. Okay, so 72 divided by pi, let me put that in my calculator here. 72 divided by 3.14 is about 23. Okay, so divide this by pi. So I get about, I'm going to round that to, it's 22.9299361 is what I have in my calculator here. Let's just make life simple. Let's round that to 93 because it's asking us for an approximation. So 93 equals r squared. But we want just r, not r squared. So what I have to do here is if I take the square root of r squared, that's just going to give me r. And whatever I do to one side, I always have to do it to the other. For some reason, a lot of people have trouble knowing what to do in a situation like this. If I give you 23 equals r squared, a lot of people have trouble understanding that you have to take the square root of both sides. Some people will think, well, I have to do 23 squared and that gives me r, but that's actually incorrect. So if you did that, don't worry about it right now. We're just practicing. No worries, but just so you know how to do it on the real test. So square root of 23 equals the radius. And all you have to do to get the diameter is you have to double the radius. So 2 times the square root of 23 is going to simply be my diameter, and that corresponds to answer choice E. So this was a hard question. If you got this right, really, really great work. If not, pat yourself on the back for trying anyway. This is a hard question. So let me pause the video, or I keep misspeaking today. Let's have you pause the video if you want to, and you can take all the time you need with the written solution.